Hello and welcome back to AC's Make and Repair. My name's Arthur. If you haven't seen my videos before, there's plenty of them there to watch. We do some basic woodworking, some metalworking and some repair work with small engines, etc. too. Well, today we're going to cover something, and that is repairing your wood bandsaw blade, And look, I've been doing this for many years now. Sometimes you have a really good blade and sometimes it's their own fault when the blade breaks, or sometimes it's just a flaw where they've joined it before. And today I broke a blade today, and it was actually right near where they joined it originally when I got a brand new blade. So today I'm going to show you how I silver solder it back together with just a simple lap join, simple jig I use. This is a little jig. I'll show you a close up of it when it comes to the job. You can actually use a little torch as small as this on a small blade. You can use MAP gas or even just a standard LPG gas. To do it, you will need some silver solder. This is a stick silver solder. It's a fairly good quality one, and some flux too. I'll talk more about that as I do the video. So I'm going to show you how I do that now. It doesn't take too long, and it can save you a lot of money in replacing the blades when the blade might have been quite good. Okay, so this is how it actually happened. You can see me cutting a circle here out of some thicker pine. As I cut the circle, you can actually hear the blade actually audibly break. You can do generally they stop and they buckle up on sides sometimes, but if they don't get damaged or anything like that, you can usually rejoin them. So this is the jig that I use to hold the blade nice and straight when I am actually silver soldering it. It's just a bit of angle on with two bits of thin wool box section welded onto it to hold the blade nice and straight and square. And this is the little wooden block that I've cut out in order to clamp the blade while I file it, to file the tapers on each end. So I usually clamp it to this block, and I allow usually the thickness of the blade, and I file a taper the length of the thickness of the blade and allow overlap. I've got a little diagram that I will show you on how I do it. I correspond the teeth, so it joins on a tooth usually, but it laps over with a nice taper, and you'll see what I mean as I go along. So I clamp it here, just using some vice grip clamps. You can use a small G clamp, and I file it a small taper. Like I say, the thickness of the blade back on either end corresponding, so they lap over each other. Here's the diagram of how I work out the width of the lap. If it's a 1/4 inch blade, I use a 1/4 inch lap. 1/2 inch blade, 1/2 inch lap. This is how I do it. So here I am checking to make sure I've allowed enough overlap for that part of the taper. Then I do the corresponding end, the top blade, I do the underneath side of it and file it to the same sort of taper so it laps over. You can see how they lap over and correlate the tooth into it. Here you see me clamping the blade tight up against the back fence so the back edges are perfectly straight on the back of the blade. Now I apply some paste flux, which is probably a borax based flux. Works really well with this particular, with metal and silver solar. I now bring the other side over and lap it over. I push the two parts together so the flux goes on each side equally. Once I get it right, I clamp it down too. I take care to line it up really good though. Once it's clamped, I then go into the stage of silver soldering. I'm using a MAP gas torch here on very low flame. As low as I can turn this one down because I don't want to overheat it. You heat the job, not the rod. That's the old saying, and it's definitely true with silver solar. I do dab it on when it starts getting red because it flows pretty quick. So you can see it's getting cherry red there. Wind's blowing a bit too. But once it gets red enough, the solar melts in between the lap join, and you want to sweat it in there quite good. There you go, it's starting to flow right good right now. You can see it run in between the lap join, really good. Take the heat away, but then I remembered I usually return the heat and I take a pair of pliers and squeeze it tightly together just to make sure it's as thin as I can get it. Saves on a lot of grinding and filing. Now it's time to file the excess silver solder off and file it so it's flat and uniform thickness as the other part of the blade. Sometimes you might leave a little bit of a lump and you'll hear it tick as it goes around, but generally if you do it right, you can get it back nice and smooth. Do take care when you're filing that you don't file a groove in the adjacent areas of the blade. Just file it black nice and flush. You could probably use a little tiny Dremel tool here to do this. Just take care that you don't take too much. Just take enough. You can actually hear it. It's quite a high-pitched noise when you file silver solar. But when it gets back to the parent material, the metal side of it, the steel side of it, you can actually hear it change tone. It takes a little bit of fiddling around, but literally it doesn't take long to do this, and it is worth it. I now take a little Dremel tool and blend it in. There's a slight bulge or a little tick in the blade, but it cuts more than fine, as you can see. Rightio, thanks for joining me today as I showed you how I join my bandsaw bands. I will say do this at your own risk because I can't govern the way you do it. I would say seek some good advice on what sort of silver solder you should use from your local welding supplies and what sort of flux you should use. And I would say take care if you've never done it before. It's quite a simple thing that should save you money. I appreciate you joining me today. Look, there's plenty of videos there for you to look at on making and repairing and things that are quite helpful in your workshop. Please view them. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate that. Tell your friends about me. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.